The ship drifted in silence. No stars moved outside the cracked windows. The crew sat in darkness, their eyes empty, their hands tired from trying again and again to bring life back to the engines. The void had swallowed them whole, and every passing hour felt heavier than the last. The commander sat at the front of the broken bridge, staring into the endless black. He did not speak. He did not need to. The silence spoke louder than words. The hum of machines was gone. The air felt thin. Even breathing felt like a battle. They had once been proud travelers, part of a fleet that crossed systems with ease. But now their vessel was nothing more than a coffin drifting between stars. The food was running out. The water was low. The power was almost gone. Hope was fading, and with it the will to survive. One of the younger crew members whispered, "Will anyone find us?" His voice cracked like a child's. No one answered. They all knew the truth. No rescue would come. Their kind had abandoned them, or perhaps forgotten them. In the wide emptiness of space, they were nothing more than dust. The silence of the void grew heavier with each passing second. Some of the crew began to argue in low voices. A few wanted to send a signal, even if it revealed their position to enemies. Others begged to save the last power for life support. The commander listened, but he gave no order. He knew both choices ended in death, either slow and empty or quick and violent. One by one, the crew began to look at the stars, as if they were the last thing they would ever see. Stars that looked cold, far and uncaring. Not one of them believed help would come. Then something shifted. At first, it was small. A flicker on the broken scanner. A weak pulse almost lost in static. A crew member leaned forward, rubbing his tired eyes, unsure if he was imagining it. "Commander," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Something is moving out there." The others rushed to the shattered console. They watched as the scanner lines struggled to hold shape. For a brief moment, a shadow appeared against the stars. Large, too large to be debris, too sharp to be an asteroid. The silence broke, not with sound, but with fear. What if it is pirates? Someone muttered. Their kind was known for hunting weak vessels. To pirates, a dying ship was nothing more than easy prey. Another crew member whispered, "No, what if it is worse?" There were species in the galaxy far crueler than pirates. Creatures that did not kill quickly but slowly. Creatures that fed not only on flesh but on fear. The commander raised his hand, silencing the whispers. His eyes narrowed as he looked through the cracked window into the black. The shadow grew clearer. It was moving with purpose. It was heading directly toward them. The silence of the void turned into the silence of terror. Every breath felt heavy. Every heartbeat echoed like thunder in the ears of the stranded crew. Some prayed under their breath. Some clutched the sides of their chairs until their claws dug into the metal. No one spoke loudly. No one dared. The commander finally broke the silence. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "We do not move. We do not signal. We wait." The crew obeyed. They sat frozen, eyes wide, staring into the endless dark where the shape was slowly forming. Minutes passed, but they felt like years. The shadow grew larger. It blocked the stars. It swallowed the void itself. Lights flickered across its surface, strange, bright, unnatural lights that pulsed with energy. The younger crew member whispered again, his voice shaking, "It is not one of ours." No, it was not. The shape was enormous, dwarfing their broken ship. Its body was lined with steel and fire. The closer it came, the more detail they saw. Hull plating scarred with battle, engines glowing like suns, and a presence so powerful it seemed to crush the silence around it. The crew's fear deepened. Their people did not build ships like this. Their people did not move with such force. Whoever this was, they were outsiders. And in the void, outsiders were rarely friends. The commander gripped the arm of his chair. His thoughts raced, but his face remained still. He had heard whispers of a species out on the edge of the galaxy, a species that fought with unmatched fury, a species that never surrendered. Humans. The word was a rumor, a ghost story told in the corners of military briefings. Some said they were monsters. Others said they were saviors. All agreed on one thing. If a human warship appeared, the galaxy changed. Now one was here. The silence of the void was broken, not by sound, but by presence. A presence so strong the stranded crew felt it pressing into their bones. The massive ship stopped, turning its glowing eyes toward the broken vessel. The crew trembled. Was this the end? Would the humans destroy them? Would they vanish into fire without even a word? The young crew member closed his eyes and whispered, "This is it. This is how we die," but the commander stared harder. He saw something in the movement of the massive warship. It had not fired. It had not advanced to kill. It only watched, waiting. The silence of the void held, but it was no longer empty. Now it was filled with suspense. The shadow grew closer with every heartbeat. The crew sat frozen in their chairs, the thin air of the broken ship growing heavier as the enormous form slowly revealed itself. At first, it was only a dark shape that blotted out the stars. But then faint orange lights flickered across its surface, sharp lines cutting through the void like fire on metal. The commander leaned forward, his eyes locked on the looming mass outside the cracked window. He did not blink. He did not breathe loudly. To him, every detail mattered. The way the lights moved, the way the engines pulsed with power, the way it traveled with steady confidence. This was no random piece of debris drifting by chance. This vessel was alive with purpose. The younger crew member's voice cracked in fear. "It is searching for us." The others exchanged looks, silent but full of terror. They all thought the same thing, but did not want to say it aloud. In the void, when something searched for you, it was rarely good news. The ship moved closer. The details sharpened. It was massive, far larger than their dying craft. The hull gleamed with dark steel, and panels lined with glowing scars, as if it had fought countless battles and survived them all. Strange markings stretched across its sides. They were not written in any language the crew recognized. Whispers filled the bridge. "It cannot be pirates. Pirates do not build ships like that." "Then who?" No one answered. The silence was broken only by the faint hum of failing systems and the occasional flicker of their own dying lights. Every crew member could hear their own heartbeat. Every breath felt louder than it should. The commander's hand tightened on the chair's armrest. He had seen reports in scattered archives, brief mentions in hushed voices. A species from the edge of the galaxy. A species whose ships could cross the darkest voids without fear. A species that always fought back, even when outnumbered. His mind whispered a word he dared not speak. Terrans. The massive ship slowed. Its engines dimmed to a steady glow, holding its position just outside the wreck. The alien crew could feel its presence pressing against them, like a storm pressing against glass. Then something happened. A beam of light flickered from the warship, not as a weapon, but as a scan. It swept across their dying vessel, bathing the broken hull in orange glow. The crew flinched, expecting fire. But no fire came. Only silence. Only light. The youngest of them whispered, his voice trembling, "Why are they waiting?" The commander did not answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the giant shape that now blocked the stars completely. Minutes passed. Long, crushing minutes, and then a sound. The bridge speakers, dead for days, cracked alive with static. A voice, deep and strange, came through the broken systems. The crew's blood froze. The voice was not their language, but it carried power, rhythm, command. The translator unit sputtered to life, weak but enough to form broken words. "You are not alone," the crew gasped. The younger one shook his head in disbelief. "Why would they speak to us? Why would they not kill us?" No one could answer. The commander's mind raced. He had heard stories of Terran warships that would not abandon those left behind. Stories of humans who saw even strangers as worth saving. But he also remembered other whispers, tales of humans who destroyed entire fleets when threatened. Which story was true? Which kind of humans stood before them now? The crew sat in silence, every eye on the enormous warship. Its lights pulsed faintly as if breathing. The void around it seemed alive, charged with hidden power. The commander finally spoke. His voice was steady, but his chest was tight. "Prepare." If they mean to kill us, we will not beg. But if they mean to save us, we will not waste the chance." The crew looked at him, uncertain, frightened, but with a spark of hope in their eyes. The warship moved again. Slowly, gracefully, it drifted closer until its sheer size filled the entire view. Engines glowed like suns. Panels of steel stretched endlessly, bristling with weapons that could tear their ship apart in a single strike. And yet, no weapons fired. Instead, another light flickered. A docking signal. The younger crew members' eyes widened. "They want to come aboard." The bridge fell silent again. Every thought collided. Fear, suspicion, hope, disbelief. The commander closed his eyes for a brief moment, listening to the silence of the void, the silence now filled with the weight of decision. Then he opened them and spoke. "Let them." The crew stared at him in shock. Some wanted to argue, some wanted to beg him to reconsider, but no one dared. They turned to the window once more, watching as the warship released smaller craft that glowed with the same orange light. The commander stood tall, his shadow stretched across the broken bridge, his voice cold and steady. "We are about to see the truth of the humans. Either they come as saviors or as conquerors." The void held its silence, but this silence was no longer empty. It was waiting. The docking signal pulsed again, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat echoing through the dying vessel. The crew stared at the faint light blinking across their cracked console, unable to look away. None of them had expected this. None of them had thought the humans would even notice them, let alone reach out. But the massive warship outside had made its choice. The commander stood still, his eyes sharp, his body rigid as stone. Every instinct inside him told him this was dangerous. A species with such ships did not need to negotiate. They did not need permission. If the humans had wanted to destroy them, their vessel would already be ash. Yet here they were, asking to board. The younger crew member whispered, his voice shaking, "Why would they come here? We have nothing left. No weapons, no resources. We are not worth saving." The commander's gaze did not move from the docking signal. "Perhaps that is what we will discover." A sharp hiss filled the corridors as the smaller Terran craft approached. The crew could see it now through the cracked windows. A dark, angular vessel sliding silently from the belly of the warship, lights glowing along its hull. It looked like a blade forged from fire and steel, designed to cut through the void itself. The alien crew waited, every second stretching like hours. The silence of their ship was broken only by the faint groans of metal and the shallow breaths of fear. Then the docking clamp struck. A violent jolt shook their vessel, followed by the sound of metal grinding against metal. Their ship trembled as the smaller craft locked itself into place. No one moved. No one spoke. The moment had arrived. The commander gave a single nod. "Open the hatch." The crew hesitated, but they obeyed. Their claws tapped against dead controls, forcing damaged systems to respond. Slowly, painfully, the hatch creaked open, and a thin mist spread through the corridor. At first there was nothing but darkness on the other side. A hollow black mouth where the unknown waited. Then footsteps, heavy, measured, unstoppable. The sound echoed down the corridor, each strike like thunder on the bones of the stranded crew. And then they saw them, the humans, tall, broad, encased in armor that shimmered with black and silver. Their helmets glowed faintly, their visors hiding eyes that seemed to burn from within. Every movement carried weight, discipline, and a terrifying certainty. These were not wanderers. These were warriors. The crew shrank back, some clutching their chairs, others lowering their heads. They had heard stories, whispers of battles where humans had stood against impossible odds and refused to yield. They had heard of planets where human fleets turned the tide of war with brutal precision. Now those whispers walked their corridors, real and alive. The humans stopped in formation. Weapons rested in their hands, not raised but ready. One stepped forward. His armor bore markings different from the others, a sign of command. His voice, filtered through the helmet, carried power even in its calmness. "You are safe," the translator stuttered. The alien crew exchanged looks, disbelief etched into their faces. "Safe in the void!" with humans before them. The word felt impossible. The commander finally spoke. His voice was steady but quiet. Why? Why help us? The human did not answer at once. He looked at the dying ship around him, the broken panels, the flickering lights, the smell of burned circuits. Then slowly he replied, "No one drifts alone." The words sank into the silence, simple, direct, yet heavy with meaning. The younger crew member whispered, They do not want to kill us." Hope stirred like a faint flame inside the crew, but it was tangled with fear. The commander studied the humans carefully. Their presence was not gentle. Even when they offered peace, their power was undeniable. It pressed against the room, reminding everyone that mercy was a choice they could revoke at any second. The human commander lifted his hand, a signal. Behind him, his soldiers moved quickly, opening cases and pulling out supplies, water, energy packs, tools for repair. They worked with speed and confidence, as if this was not the first time they had saved strangers from the edge of death. The alien crew watched in silence, too stunned to move. One of the humans turned to the alien nearest him, holding out a small container of water. The alien hesitated, his claws trembling, then slowly took it. The liquid was cold, real, life itself. He drank, and his eyes filled with tears. The commander of the aliens finally nodded. "You came as warriors, but you act as saviors." The human tilted his head, visor glowing faintly. His answer was calm, but sharp like steel. "We are both." Silence returned, but it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence of awe. The crew, once ready to die, now felt something they had not felt in days: hope. Yet beneath that hope a question remained. What price would the humans ask for this rescue? The commander's thoughts grew heavy. Humanity had revealed themselves not as predators, not as raiders, but as something greater. And he knew one thing with chilling certainty: the galaxy would never be the same again. The Terran warship loomed outside, its presence filling the void. Its soldiers filled the corridors, their very existence a reminder that power and mercy could walk hand in hand. But even as the crew drank water and watched repairs begin, a shadow of fear still lingered. Because deep inside, they all knew the truth. If humans chose to save strangers like this, then their enemies would face something far worse, and no one in the galaxy could stand against it. The warship had revealed itself, not just as a machine of steel, but as the beating heart of a species that would never let the void swallow anyone alone, and the void itself seemed to hold its breath. The corridors of the stranded ship, once filled with despair, now glowed faintly with human light. The armored Terrans moved through the wreck like shadows of iron, their presence impossible to ignore. Every step they took seemed to carry certainty, as if they were not visitors, but owners of the void itself. The alien crew watched silently. Their eyes followed every motion, every gesture. They had expected to be crushed, erased, forgotten. Yet instead, the humans were repairing power lines, sealing cracks, and giving food. Their movements were precise, practiced, almost as if saving others was not a question but a duty. The youngest of the aliens whispered, "Why do they help us? What do they gain?" No one had an answer. The commander studied the Terran leader. The human stood tall in his black and silver armor, visor glowing faintly. Even in silence, his presence commanded attention. The alien commander saw in him not only strength, but choice. Humanity could kill or save, and either path was theirs to take. The human finally spoke again, his voice deep, filtered through his helmet. The translator crackled, shaping his words into broken fragments, but enough to understand. "Your ship will live. For now, you will live. For now, but understand, when we act it is never without reason." The alien crew shifted uneasily. There it was, the shadow behind the kindness. They were alive, but why? What reason did the humans carry? The alien commander took a slow breath. "Then tell me, what reason brings you here?" The Terran leader turned his visor toward him. For a moment there was silence. Only the hum of human tools filled the air. Then he answered, "No one drifts forgotten. Not if we can reach them." The words echoed like a vow. Simple, clear, heavy. The alien crew felt the weight of it. A vow not only to them, but to anyone who might be lost in the endless dark. It was powerful. It was terrifying. One of the aliens muttered softly, "They act like saviors, but they fight like conquerors. Which are they truly?" The humans continued their work, offering no answer. The younger crew member approached one of the Terran soldiers cautiously. The human paused, looking down at him. In the soldier's hands was a tool glowing with faint light, designed to seal cracks in metal. With a single sweep, he closed a fracture in the alien wall that their engineers had failed to fix for days. The younger alien's eyes widened. "Why help us?" he asked softly, almost pleading. The human soldier only tilted his head and spoke one word: "Because." That one word cut deeper than any explanation. It was not profit. It was not strategy. It was not mercy alone. It was something else, something larger. The alien commander felt the truth pressing against him. The humans were not here for bargains. They were here because they had decided to be. That choice alone made them dangerous, perhaps more dangerous than any empire in the galaxy. The Terran leader stepped closer. His presence was overwhelming. He lowered his voice, and though the translator struggled, the meaning was clear. "Your people left you." "We did not." The alien commander's throat tightened. It was true. Their own empire had not sent help. Their own kind had abandoned them to the cold void. Yet here stood strangers, powerful strangers, keeping them alive. It was a gift. It was a warning. The younger crew members felt awe building in their hearts. Some began to whisper that perhaps the humans were more than soldiers. Perhaps they were guardians of the stars. But the older crew, the ones who had seen empires rise and fall, looked with different eyes. They saw not only mercy but dominance. The humans were not asking. They were declaring. The commander knew he had to answer carefully. He stepped forward, facing the Terran leader directly. "If you choose to save us, then know this: we will not forget. But if you choose to control us, we will not forget that either." The Terran leader stood silent for a moment. Then with slow precision, he reached up and removed his helmet. The crew gasped. The human's face was scarred but strong. His eyes burned with a fire that no void could put out. He was flesh, not machine, yet he stood like steel. When he spoke, there was no filter, no translator's stutter. "We do not need your fear. We do not want your chains. We want only this. Remember that humanity does not abandon the lost." The silence after those words was vast, stretching across the wreck like a second void. The alien commander bowed his head slightly. "Then we will remember." But in his heart, another thought formed. If humans saved even strangers, what would they do for their own people? What would they unleash, if ever pushed to defend their own worlds? The Terran soldiers continued their work, silent and steady. The warship outside loomed larger than life, its lights glowing against the endless black. The alien crew had been given a gift, a second chance. Yet they understood the truth. Humanity had not only saved them. Humanity had made a choice that declared to the stars, "No one is forgotten in the void," and the galaxy, whether it was ready or not, would soon learn what that meant. The alien ship, once drifting toward death, now carried the heartbeat of life again. Lights flickered back on. Systems whispered with energy as Terran hands worked with speed and precision. For the first time in endless days, the crew dared to believe survival was possible, but hope never comes without shadow. The scanners lit suddenly, warning of movement in the dark. Faint signals at first, then stronger. Multiple contacts, fast and aggressive. The youngest alien looked up at the screen, his voice breaking. "It is not over. Something is coming." The commander narrowed his eyes. The readings were unmistakable. Ships, smaller than the Terran warship, but many. A predator's pack, hunting the helpless pirates. The alien crew felt terror rise again. They had been stalked before, chased for scraps, their broken vessel the perfect prey. And now, even with humans aboard, the void had brought death back to their door. The Terran leader stood calmly at the center of the bridge, his visor glowing faintly once more. His voice, steady and sharp, cut through the rising panic. "They are not here for you," he said. They are here for us, the alien commander frowned. For you? The Terran's gaze did not waver. They smell power, and they are about to learn what it costs to reach for it. Outside, the darkness bloomed with hostile light. Pirate vessels swarmed, jagged shapes darting between stars, weapons glowing with savage intent. They closed in like wolves. The alien crew trembled. We cannot fight them. We have no weapons left. But the Terran leader only turned to his soldiers and spoke a single word. Ready? The crew watched in stunned silence as the humans moved with perfect discipline. They returned to their craft, sealing the hatch, their footsteps echoing like drums of war. The Terran leader followed last, his eyes lingering on the alien commander. Stay alive. Do not fear the void. Fear what follows us. With that, he was gone. The hatch sealed, and moments later the smaller Terran craft detached, gliding back toward the colossal warship. The alien crew rushed to the windows, their eyes wide with dread and awe. The pirate fleet encircled, dozens of smaller ships, each bristling with weapons. They fired warning shots, lines of red and blue streaking past the broken vessel. The aliens braced, expecting destruction, but the Terran warship moved. It did not run. It did not hesitate. Its engines blazed, casting fiery light across the void. The ship turned slowly, deliberately, like a predator baring its teeth. Panels shifted across its hull, weapons sliding into place, glowing with raw energy. The pirates closed in tighter, eager and foolish. They had cornered prey before. They thought this would be the same. Then the void itself roared. The Terran warship unleashed its fire. The first volley split the darkness, a storm of light and steel. Beams tore through pirate hulls, shattering ships into burning fragments. Missiles streaked into the swarm, detonating with violent bursts that shook the void. Where the pirates had come with numbers, the Terrans answered with power. The alien crew gasped as the battle unfolded. Their broken ship trembled from the shockwaves, but their eyes stayed locked on the sight before them. Pirate ships darted and fired, but their weapons splashed harmlessly against the Terran shields. The warship moved like a giant among insects, slow yet unstoppable, each strike deliberate, each kill precise. One pirate vessel tried to flank, racing in from the side. The Terran warship turned a single turret, fired once, and erased it in silence. Another pirate ship fled, engines burning at full, but the Terran ship's reach was longer. A beam caught it, and it was gone. The void filled with wreckage, glowing fragments of broken vessels, scattering like sparks. The younger alien pressed his face to the window, his voice trembling. This is not battle. This is judgment. The commander did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the Terran warship, watching it dominate the void as if it had always belonged to it. Minutes stretched into eternity, but the outcome was never in doubt. One by one, the pirate ships were torn apart until the last survivor turned and fled into the black. The Terran warship did not chase. It did not need to. Its message had already been carved into the stars. Silence returned. The alien crew sat frozen, their hearts pounding. They had witnessed something beyond power, beyond survival. They had seen a truth whispered across the galaxy, but never believed until now. Humanity was not just another species. Humanity was fire and steel, mercy and fury bound together. The Terran warship drifted back toward the broken vessel. It stopped, looming like a god before a temple. A signal came through once more, the translator breaking under its weight, but carrying enough to understand. You live. Remember why. The crew sat in silence, the words heavy in their minds. The alien commander bowed his head slowly. He understood. The humans had not saved them for reward, nor to claim their loyalty. They had done it because they chose to. Because no one, not even strangers, should drift forgotten in the void. But the commander also knew what this meant for the galaxy. If humans fought this way for those they did not know, what would they do for their own? The void was silent again, but it was no longer empty. It carried the echo of fire, the echo of steel, and the promise that humanity had arrived and the stars themselves would never be the same.